Hey, how's it going, guys? My name's Goku. We're back again with another episode of the Let's Play series. Couple things. We're in here in my creative test world. I'm going to show you some stuff. I did record a few snippets of the last week or so of progress on the world, but it was very sporadic, and I did lose a lot of footage because I thought I was recording and I wasn't. So I didn't actually lose it. I never recorded it in the first place. So before we hop into the survival world real quick, I'll go over some things with you guys. I ended up updating to 1.18 in the survival world, and I deleted a bunch of chunks that were further away from my base so we can go exploring and go see all that stuff, and also to save on some world file size. So our moss farm is producing more moss than we can turn into bone meal at the moment. So I wanted to come up with a little more of an efficient way to do that so I can leave them both running and not have to turn off the moss farm constantly for the bone meal farm to catch up. So our problem was that the hoppers that I had aligned in an array, it was kind of just like a single array with a bunch of composters, they would all put it into the last one and only use the last one instead of the previous. And I was doing some research on different designs. This one is from Shulkercraft and their moss farm. It's pretty nice. The water flows over here. It automatically picks up into this one and distributes it, but we end up only using the first 5. So the bone meal will come into these 5, but not utilize the second 2, which is kind of unfortunate. And I was looking for something a little more efficient. And so I came across El Mango's design in his moss farm, which is much more efficient. It's about twice as fast. The input will put into here and go into the barrel and also the hopper, so it splits it into 2 and then splits it evenly between these 2 composters and comes out here. So it's about twice as fast. The only thing is, if I were to add any sort of chest above this, it only takes out one item at a time, and it can't distribute it evenly between these 2 when it's just one. So unless I were to redesign my moss farm to do one just like El Mango's, where he has all the bone meal flowing to one side, this wouldn't work super well. So I was trying to come up with a design where I can still have my regular moss farm, but distribute the moss evenly between a couple different hoppers, and I couldn't really figure out a design. So if you guys have any tips or tricks that don't involve maybe a little bit of overkill over here, I'd love to know them. So I decided, instead of, the only way I knew how to distribute the items evenly across the hoppers was just with hopper minecarts. So I began kind of taking off this old chest dispenser system that I have. Basically, it just summons a cart, you put your stuff in here, you send it off, and then it unloads the items into this chest, and when it's done, it'll send it back into the system, and it's not supposed to go up there. It will go around here, back up into the system. So I kind of took that design and modified it a tiny bit. We just did a little mock-up right here. So essentially what should happen is I can put all the bone meal into a chest like this, or at least a good portion of it. And then I can have this hopper take the bone meal out of that chest. Ideally, I want to use hopper minecarts because they unload things way faster than regular hoppers, which is a lot of the problems what I've been having. Just everything fills up and it doesn't unload it fast enough. So once this hopper is full of an item, it will let it go and go into an unloading system where there is a hopper minecart above this hopper right here. So it'll unload it a lot faster than just a regular hopper. It'll put it into a single composter, and then when it's done, it'll put itself back into the system. It's kind of how this works a little bit. You have a detector rail here. Redstone goes up here and pushes the piston block, preventing this one from going. So whenever this minecart leaves, it'll unpower this piston, allowing the next hopper minecart to go into the system. And so hopefully this should be stackable. I did stack it over here and this seemed to work. The only problem here was switching the minecart tracks. Obviously you saw the minecart went backwards. It works just fine if you have items in there because there's a delay system. Over here I had it set so that way once the minecart left, it would unpower this rail, switching the track to go this way, and then another delay switching or holding this rail to keep going straight so it wouldn't go into the next system. Basically I just have to do the same thing over here if I were to tile it, which I'll probably add a couple of them just so I can have I want to have at least 5 of these composters going at a time. So, I mean, honestly, as of right now, that'll still be 5 times faster than what I have currently. The only problem I had was, I'm going to have hopper minecarts sitting out all the time, which may cause lag in the future. But hopefully if I don't have anything moving all the time and I am able to shut it off completely and allow everything to sit, it should work just fine. I did forget to mention, one problem we may potentially end up running into is when we have multiple hoppers, the system could get clogged or backlogged if, say, another one of these systems is over here and a hopper runs into it, sending it backwards, or it just doesn't unload fast enough, and there is no minecart here where the next hopper will leave, and then there will be no hopper coming down here, which will just stop the whole system. Not sure if it's going to be a problem or not. We will find out soon enough, but just wanted to mention that. So without further ado, let's hop into the world and see what we can do with this design and trying to make it all work. Alright, so here we are back in the world, and I've cleared out the old bone meal system. Essentially, what we have to do is take this water stream that flows through here and put it into another chest, and then have that chest be unloaded by those hopper minecarts in the system and be put into bone meal. So I'll probably have to clear out a lot of this to make room for all those rails and a storage system for the hopper minecarts. But before we get into that, I just want to show you around a little bit, some work I've done around here. I haven't done a crazy amount in the sewage system at all. I did add a melon and pumpkin farm. I can't really see it up there. Just a basic, the observers, pistons. It's a single 7x7. It should produce enough melons and pumpkins for whatever I need. Mainly just need them for trading with villagers to get some extra emeralds. Just unloads itself into this system, which puts it into a water stream and ships it out here and puts it into currently just the chest down there. You can turn it off, and because I just want to try and reduce as much lag as possible, so every machine should be able to turn off completely. So the pistons all extend, so that way the melons can't grow at all, because the observers will just keep pushing the pistons down, and then I'll just be wasting melons and pumpkins at that point. It also unpowers this power minecart, which keeps the hopper minecart in a single place, so it's not moving around constantly. Hopefully that fixes, or at least mediates a little bit of lag. I think still having it out and still having an entity out will cause lag, but less if it's not moving. I may be wrong on that though, I have no clue. So another thing that I did miss was I went exploring down in the caves below here, and I found a skeleton with full diamond armor, which is, as far as my knowledge goes, extremely rare. So I caught him, and I realized when I put him in the cage that I wasn't recording. So very unfortunate, but this man's name is Joe. We have a new mascot. Lovely man. It's just very chill. We like Joe. Joe's a homie. Anyway, checking out here, I ended up moving the storage system that was in the basement up into this hobbit hole where I originally was hanging out. So just got my normal stuff here, but I extended it back out here into this little chest room. I wanted to have a simple chest room, but mainly rely on shulker boxes to store everything. So it's just I have a single chest for cobblestone instead of like 4. But I just have shulker boxes full of mass items instead of filling up all these chests crazy full. So, I have what I need, and if I need it, need extra, I'll just grab my shulker boxes and whatnot. So, yeah, that's pretty solid. I'll probably end up changing this to deep slate and expanding it a little bit, and probably doing a little bit of work to the outside to make it look a little fit in a little nicer with everything else. What else have I done? Over along here behind this market house, I cleared out a bunch of land and I turned this into a giant wheat farm. I figured, the houses all should have purposes and stuff, so this guy just happens to be a farmer. So giant wheat field, and I added a little retaining wall around everything that I haven't textured yet. I will be adding the cobblestone and andesite into here, and then the slabs and stairs to texture it a little bit more, but I just got the rough shape going. So heading up here, I have a giant area I also cleared out for. This should be my tree farm. I'm going to expand it out probably another 20-25 blocks that way, clear out all those trees, which surprisingly, dark oak trees are a lot more of a pain than I thought they were. Clearing out. Forgot how annoying they are. So I also made this little mound here with a house. Figure this would be the tree farmer's house. Just a little quaint, humble abode with a little bed. Just some basic wood storage and trees and stuff like that. Just all decoration purposes. Doesn't have any function at all. But over here in the main area will be the tree farm where we manually go chop logs. And I found this house on Pinterest. So I changed the block palette and pretty much did everything else the same. So I'm not very original here, but I really liked this this sawmill design. So forgive me for stealing. This is the inside so far. I eventually want to make like saws and conveyor belts and stuff in here, just aesthetically pleasing stuff. And so as you can see down over here, I moved all my chests out of here. It's very plain, but now this leaves room for me to finish the continuation of all these rooms and start over here. And one of the last things that I did work on off camera is I did a little bit of work in the nether. Let's take a trip real quick. So I moved my portal. It's just in this area right now. Got a house going just for some basic storage of all my nether items, which I can show you guys in a little bit. Got some spectral arrows, blackstone, basalt, my gravel, obsidian, potions and stuff, all the stuff from Piglin bartering. Down over here is originally where the portal was, down over here. I built some Piglin bartering systems and a temporary basalt farm, a basalt generator. I haven't emptied these at all, but because I will end up moving all of these guys up to the base up over there into a neater, cleaner area where I can automatically sort the items and not have to manually do it. But I just needed a lot of blackstone to do some building. So heading back up here, I'll eventually make all this look nice and neat. But, we got some bogeys. Oh, first I'm using a crossbow. That's kind of sick. Didn't realize I haven't used a crossbow before. So yeah, I've kind of gone with this design. I kind of like it, but it's also, not finished, so it's kind of hard to see how it will turn out in the future. But my idea for this place is to create a quarantined area from the nether, so nothing will spawn in here, hopefully, eventually. So I can just walk in the nether, pick a path to go down, and have a tunnel going to different nether portals, and it'll all be mob proof and safe. But the hoglins and piglins are frustrating to deal with because they spawn still at very high light levels, so I will have to end up slabbing everything, which is quite unfortunate because I do like the basalt as the flooring. But looking over here, this is kind of what it looks like from the outside. Kind of got a little castle thing going on here, which I think might look pretty cool if we expand it and give it a little more love and detail. And that's currently about it. I haven't done much else. I did a bunch of exploring. I tried to find a lush cave. I couldn't find one. But we will find one. So with the tour aside, we should get started on rebuilding this bone meal generator. Alrighty, and we're back. So we ran into a few more problems. I did only put 2 of these things in. Kind of luckily, I am pretty much out of redstone at the moment, so I kind of just capped it off there. And I started letting it do its thing. And this end of the farm works pretty alright. Minecarts will end up sitting here for an extended period of time just because the hopper minecart fills up and I don't have a system that checks if that's full to send it to the next one. But it's pretty alright. It just takes the hopper minecart out of the system for a second. But the first issue we ran into is this unloader system into the hopper only activates when all 5 slots have 6 stacks in them. So as soon as I put this in here, it'll go. So that creates a problem because a lot of the time we end up with just these miscellaneous items, and then the whole system will get clogged when we're waiting on a specific item, which this isn't necessarily the root cause. This is my collection chamber, and currently I just have it attached to a little dropper system, which is far too slow. All the items end up stacking up into here, and because it only can end up outputting 1 item at a time, and there's so much more moss than everything else, the moss is the only thing that gets put through, at least until I stop the farm, and then it puts everything else through. So we end up having just a bunch of random little bunches of items. So we're gonna have to go through some redesigning. I may end up having to build a completely new moss farm, something that doesn't use the same collection chamber, unless I can figure out a way to make this the starting point for the unloader system, which would basically not allow me to just straight output the moss outside into a chest, which I still want to be able to do. But I'm not sure. We're going to have to go through some troubleshooting. So I'll either have to get rid of that, fix the chamber that collects all the items, I'll have to fix the moss farm, or scrap everything and start over. Not really sure at the moment. But I do know that I need more redstone, so I think we're going to take a break for a bit and go mining, try and get some more of these back into our system. So I'll see you when I get back. Alright, and we're back. I went and gathered some redstone, got a bunch of this stuff, and I also cleared out this room. Everything's gone. The whole moss farm, everything, cleared out a bunch of extra space. So I decided we were going to scrap everything and start from the beginning using Ilmango's design instead of Ethos, just because it will be a whole lot easier to keep the moss in item form on the ground instead of inside hoppers to transport them to the bone meal, to the bone meal things. So cleared out this. We're going to get to this next episode. But I've done a little bit of work off camera. I think I'll show you before we end the episode today. And as you can see, I built a giant tree. It's not quite finished yet. I need to go around to all sides and do this, where I make them droop down a lot bit more, and then texture it on the inside a little bit more, so that way it smooths down. But this is my giant dark oak tree. I built this a couple weeks ago, and just let me go sleep real quick. Alright, now it's daytime. This tree is pretty awesome. I like it. I think it fits pretty perfectly in this area, and it ties everything together a lot better than what I was trying to do before, which is build a bunch of houses. I also organized my villagers. I got some stonemasons and started trading for some brick, and upgraded all of my pathways around my base. Not quite all of it is textured, but most of it is textured with polished granite and regular granite. This goes all over the place, and honestly I think it looks pretty good. Once I get everything textured, you know, just will give it a lot more of a fantasy vibe. Over here, did a little work to the tree farm. I cleared out all of this area and then had to raise the grass level about 2 to 3 blocks. So it took like a whole shulker to fill that out. And then I also decided that I wasn't going to chop down another forest, so I burned all this down once I gathered most of the leaves for the tree, because I already have a double chest full of oak, or dark oak logs. Here's some more of the trees that I've just left that I need to cut down still. And back in here, I've actually done some work. I extended out this pathway over here, and I made my villager area. It's very simple for right now. Just got all the villagers, like armors with armors, and toolsmiths, librarians, farmers, clerics. I have a bunch of rotten flesh from my pigman farm. These are all the stonemasons I trade bricks for. These guys I trade sticks and whatnot. This is the villager breeder I put together pretty quickly. They just kind of chill in here, and then they try and go to the beds and fall into the water, and then fall into this little thing. And there's quite a few that are stuck back there. I need to clean this out. But now we have access to all of our villagers again. They're not just in the ceiling. And that's about all I did while off camera. It's quite a bit of work, but honestly, I really like the way the tree turned out. Villagers are nice to have, as always. It's
a lot better not to have them inconveniently put in the ceiling. So with that, I think we'll call it an episode here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.